recording.
Hey guys, thank you for coming to our Climbing the Ladder call. Tonight we are going to hear from Lauren. She is an executive leader on the leadership ladder and obviously one of the hosts in this group. And I want to thank you guys all for coming and for sticking with us through this last month. It has been awesome. And we see so many of you advancing on the ladder. And if you've advanced, make sure you shout yourself out. I know that I keep getting messages from people that have hit the next rung and can't wait for the report to come out next month. But tonight we're going to hear from Lauren, and she is at the top of the ladder. And she's going to share with you guys, well, I'm actually going to interview her and ask questions. So if there's something you want to know, make sure you type it into the chat box and I'll ask it for you. But we're just going to kind of, I'm going to ask her some questions about coaching. I'm going to ask her about how she got into it, you know, what program she likes, her goals, and all those things. So you guys can get an idea to kind of see how she's gotten to where she is, because she is doing phenomenal. So Lauren's married with 2 sweet little kids, and she lives in Texas, but she's from the East Coast, so she moved to Texas. And you guys, her husband is actually out of town right now, so her kids, she's doing it all on her own right now. So she did say if her kids get up, sorry, but we're gonna cross our fingers. I think we're gonna be fine. All right. Okay, Lauren, so you've been coaching for 3 years and you've been elite 3 times. So you started off with a bang. Did you say yes to coaching when you first started?
No. So with me, basically the short version, I'll try and keep it short, is just that I found Beachbody because of insanity, actually. And it was because I was just wanting to get back into shape after I had my son. He was about 18 months old and I'd already lost baby weight, but I was just a little bit like flabby and I didn't feel great around a bunch of my husband's, like, my husband played baseball for a living for a while, and around a lot of the young guys' girlfriends, I just felt really insecure and I wanted to get into shape. So I saw Insanity on an infomercial, and this was in 2010, I believe. And coaching had only been around for a couple of years, so I really didn't know anything about it. And I just ordered Insanity online, and I finished that program kind of out of spite, I guess, because my husband didn't think I could. So I said, watch me. And I did it, and I got into really great shape. And I just kind of fell in love with the whole idea of eating clean, because the backstory to that is that because of baseball and because of my lifestyle before, I never ate a single fruit. I never ate a single vegetable. I hated everything about healthy foods. And I lived off of baseball stadium food and like fast food, whatever was easy, because we had a permanent home, but we lived in hotels. So we were used to the convenience of like microwavable stuff and fast food. So, when I started learning about all this, my girlfriend was like, hey, you should learn about eating clean. And all I wanted to do was the workouts, but she told me I needed to learn how to eat clean. And I kind of followed her guidance through it. And it wasn't until probably, I guess, 4 years later, when I was pregnant with my daughter, that I met Brandy Botts, who her husband played with my husband, and we kind of became friends, and we did P90X together and all of this. And the year that I got pregnant with my daughter, she decided to become a coach, and I had a miscarriage, and I really wasn't ready to become a coach, and the way she presented it to me was really funny, and I was like, heck no, I'm not doing that. And she asked me every single month for 12 months, you guys, and every month I said no. And I even was one of those people, we were good friends, but I was really kind of annoyed, I don't want to say annoyed, but I was really more like, I guess I got tired of seeing all of her like happy, positive stuff. And I was bitter that I hadn't started when she asked me to, because I was like, man, look at how good she's doing. But instead of being excited for her, I was like, okay, I can't watch this anymore. And I actually like unfollowed her. I didn't unfriend her, but I unfollowed her so that I didn't have to see her stuff in my newsfeed anymore. And then I guess it was about, but she was still inviting me to her events and her groups every single month. And then she reached out to me. We had with my story, and I think we talked about this when we first introduced me like into the group, was so after I had my daughter, she was a couple weeks old, and we had a house fire. She had we were displaced from our home, and my daughter had colic. My husband was working commission only, had retired from baseball. We lost a ton of money in savings. We were just really struggling, both financially, emotionally, physically. Obviously, I had just had a baby. And it was just a really awful time. I was lost. We had filed for bankruptcy. There was just a lot of things going on, and I wanted just something to get us out of it. And Brandy happened to reach out to me at the right time, and I finally agreed and said, okay, sure. I'll do it. I'll go for it. So that's what got me started.
That's awesome. So she asked you for 12 months before you said yes?
Yes.
So she asked you 12 times?
12 times. Yep.
You guys hear that?
Mm-hmm.
12 times. Follow up is key. Don't give up, because look at Lauren is one of Brady's top coaches. So don't give up. We keep inviting and asking, because you never know, like Lauren, like it was the right time. And that's really what it comes down to. All right. So you were an athlete though, right? Like growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So but you were in pretty good shape when you started, right?
Yes, but not at that particular time. So I started in February of 2013, and my daughter was born in December of 2012. So I was just under 2 months postpartum when I started. And so I still had all of that baby weight to lose. I still have the pictures. Like if you go to my page and you look at the most recent transformation picture that I did with the pictures from the Beachbody Cup, you can see what it looks like when I started. Because that was the picture I took. Brandy asked me to take a picture the day I signed up as a coach, and I did. And that is what you see. So I still had like the mommy body.
What program did you start with?
So I had a really rough pregnancy and delivery, and I couldn't work out. So I used Ultimate Reset.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And once I was allowed to work out, I tried to go for Insanity, and I made it like 5 minutes and passed out. So, and then I worked through, got up to Insanity, and then I did a little bit of Brazil butt lift, and then T25 came out. So I stuck with that.
Nice. And what's your favorite flavor of Shakeology?
Vegan chocolate.
Mine too. Awesome. So when you started, what were your goals as a coach?
So when I started, I specifically remember myself. I can take myself back to that spot, like visualize it and feel it as if I'm in that moment. And I remember looking at my husband, because I didn't tell him I signed up as a coach. And when he found out, he wasn't real happy about it because we didn't have money. And I had to use gift cards and like barter with my mom and clean houses and all of that to get enough money to buy a challenge pack, because the Ultimate Reset's expensive. So I remember sitting down with my husband and I said, can you imagine, at the time we had watched Family for 12 months, and she was making about $2,000 a week at the end of her first year. And I was just like, oh my gosh, can you imagine what that would do for our family? I'll just take like $1,000 a month. Heck, I'll take $800 a month. Like that in itself would be amazing for our family. So my goal was really that I wanted to get in back into great shape. I wanted to be able to compete in a tri fitness competition again, which if you guys don't know what that is, I'm happy to share with you, but maybe not right now since we have lots of stuff to cover. But that's something that I did before I had my daughter. I wanted to get in good enough shape to do that again. And I really just wanted to take the pressure off of my husband financially because he was so stressed out, and like never seen him cry before over something like that. And I watched him cry because we were stressed out over bills. We had $800 in bills and he didn't know how we were going to pay them. And we were borrowing money from my mom. My parents were paying our rent and paying for groceries and helping us with clothing. I mean, it was really bad. So I really just wanted to stop having to rely on other people for money. And I wanted to be able to just make enough to cover our bills. That was our goal. And my first goal was because my husband was like, there's no way you are spending that money on Shakeology every month. No chance. And he was like, he was a skeptic. He didn't believe in it. He said I could go to GNC, buy the same thing. But I convinced him that I was going to make enough money every single month so that we would cover the cost of my Shakeology and that we would earn back the money from my challenge pack that I bought when I started, and that every month we would at least pay for my Shakeology and be able to make enough money to pay for like our groceries and our electrical bill. And that was really my goal. That was it. And I had set a long-term goal that I wanted to pay for myself and a nanny to go to Summit, because Brandy said I had to go to Summit, that it was game-changing and that there was no option. I was going. And so I knew I needed to get there, but we couldn't afford it. Plane tickets were like, it just wasn't happening. So I needed to save enough money to be able to get to Summit. And my income goal I had set was to be where Brandy was every year by like just 1 year behind her. So I just said, okay, if she's making $2,000 a year on my start date, then I want to be making, $2,000 a week, then I want to be making $2,000 a week by my 1 year anniversary. That was my goal. And I just went for it.
That's awesome. And you hit it, right?
Mm-hmm. I did.
That's awesome. Okay. Now, when did your goals shift and you become like because they totally shift. I know as when you go through coaching, you go through phases where your why and your goals change. Mm-hmm. And first you started off with just wanting to pay your bills. Mm-hmm. And then when did you feel the shift happen where you're like, you know what, this is going to be like bigger than I ever thought?
So I think that shift happened after my first year. Like my 1 year anniversary so I've had multiple shifts. But I feel like at the end of my first year when I hit that goal, it was really like my first $1,000 a week paycheck. I remember that specifically. I was dancing on the couch. I was going crazy because that just seemed like I knew it was possible. I visualized it, but to actually have it happen was really surreal. And then when we hit the $2,000 mark, goal, and we took my husband on the Success Club cruise, it was just his vision joined mine because he realized that this was a legit thing. Even y'all, like I had a couple of checks in there that were $3,000 a week, and he was still like, whatever, we'll see how long this lasts. So it wasn't until he went on the Success Club trip that he really kind of realized that this was going to be our lifestyle, and this was something that was going to be like, I'm a lifer. Like, this is what I was going to do. And we started to make plans and goals together. So it's still about, everybody says it's not about the money. Well, that's BS, because you wouldn't be a coach if you didn't really want to make some money, right? So for me, my goals shifted from being able to pay our bills to being able to pay things off. So now it was like, okay, we're going to pay off this car. We're going to pay off this bill. We're going to get 100% out of debt. We're going to pay off our mortgage. We're going to, be able to give money to our church. We're going to give money to people that need it. We're going to do good things with this. And that was really kind of when I realized we could actually do that. And so by the end of my second year was when we shifted again, and it was like, okay, now this is even bigger. Now we've got some really big things to do, and as far as giving back. And right now we're still in the process of paying off our mortgage. That'll be done by the end of 2017. And then who knows at that point. But right now our focus is on paying that off and saving money. We have savings accounts, which is crazy. We have savings accounts for our kids and retirement and all kinds of stuff, which we never had that before we started as a coach.
That's awesome. Okay. So now let's get into what I know a lot of people want to know. What is your biggest piece of advice, like when you're going for, I know there's a lot of people in this group that are going for elite, and you did it basically in your first year of coaching. So you went from new coach to elite coach. So how did that happen?
Okay, so I had no clue what elite was until Summit. No idea. Nobody had ever mentioned it to me. Nobody had ever said it as a goal. It was never presented to me as something that I should go for. It was really like the way that Brandy presented it. My first 30 days, I'll be honest, I was completely overwhelmed. I even called Brandy and said, I can't do this. I didn't sign up for this. I'm going to quit. And she was like, no, you're not. Let's talk about it. Why are you overwhelmed? Like, what's going on? So she broke it down and said, here's what you need to do. We're just going to do these 3 sales. We're going to get you to hit Success Club so that you can pay back your Shakeology because you said that was your goal. And I want you to go and find 2 other people that are willing to sign up and with Shakeology and do this with you. So she said, you're going to message everybody you know, and you're going to expand your network every single day. And you're going to do it like, that's it. You don't have to be attached all the time. Because I had just kept saying, give me 1 year. Give me 1 year to prove to my husband because he wanted me to quit. So give me 1 year. I promise you I will give it everything I've got. Give me 1 year to prove to you that I can do this and that this is worth it. And if we are no better off than we are right now in 1 year, then I'll quit. But until then, this is what I'm doing. And I need your support. He didn't support me, but he said, okay, I'll give you a year. So, it was really the consistency over time of just doing the things that I knew I had to do every day. You guys, I wish I could run upstairs right now and grab it if it wouldn't take me a while to dig it out. But I still to this day have my binder that Brandy asked me to create with my daily activity trackers that I legit filled it out with what my income was for each week, with how many challenge packs I sold, with the names of every single person that I talked to. I flipped it over and filled out the backs of it. I thought that it was the most ridiculous thing that I would never, like, that she was making me do that. But it really got me to think about, okay, I didn't do this today. So my thing is that I was not going to bed until those things were done. And it meant that I stayed up really late, but I also had a newborn who never slept. So it was fine. But like, I was nursing her and she'd finally fall asleep and I didn't want to move her. So I'd be like this over the computer, like sending messages and talking to people. And it was really just, it wasn't like I was messaging everybody and saying, hey, you want to join my challenge group? Okay. And they'd say no. And I'd be like, okay, peace out. It was really just me going to friends list after friends list and finding people that I reconnected with and that I got into my challenge groups, and literally just by talking to them. And then when it was time for me to ask that question, I spent like 1 week out of every month just hounding, filling my challenge group. And then I started my challenge group. And at the end of that challenge group, it was like, okay, now it's time for me to like be on these people that are actually enjoying it and getting good results and asking them to become coaches. And I always just presented the opportunity. And I realized that it was, I had no luck really with my warm market when I first started. All of these people were people that I added like after I became a coach. And some of the people that were becoming coaches and buying challenge packs for me were people that I would have never in a million years thought would have joined my team. There's one girl who she's not on this call, but she knows who she is if I was talking to her. When she reached out to me and asked me about coaching, I was like, are you sure you're talking to the right person? And she was like, yeah, I've just been really inspired by watching your posts and stuff. Like, you realize that you like hated me when we worked together and that it's kind of like the reason I left, right? Like, are you sure you're talking to me? And she was like, no, really, I'm sure. And we had a big long, and goes back to where you are allowed to say, no, I don't think you'd be a good fit for my team. And so she and I actually had to have like a sit down, like not a sit down because we didn't live near each other, but it was like a legit conversation about, okay, we had to get past what happened and realize that we all grow up and people move on, but that we could work together as a team. She's still around to this day, and she's one of my 2-star diamond coaches, and she's one of my good friends. So, it's just people, you'd be surprised, the people that you can't prejudge. You have to be willing to just step outside that little comfort bubble. And there's so many times I'd send a message or send a friend request and I'd be like, oh gosh, I don't know if I should do that. But you can also, use it's no prejudging, but it's also like what Kelsey was talking about for those of you guys that were on here. Like, think about the people that you would want to like spend time with when they actually reach out to you, or when you actually start to follow them, but just work towards expanding your network. I went to Summit with Brandy. We hit that goal. I paid for myself and a nanny to come. And I went down and I sat on the floor with Brandy at Summit. And I saw her walk across that stage. And being down there and meeting all those people was so incredible that I was like, I am going to be there. Tell me what I have to do to do it. And at the time, I was a 2-star diamond coach. And I'd been a coach for about 5.5 months. And it was like, okay, well, if you're going to do that, here's how many points you have. You need to advance 3 more diamonds, and you need to earn X amount more points, which means that I needed to increase my volume. I needed to sign up way more coaches than I ever did, because I'm not a big recruiter. I never have been. I don't sign people see that I'm a 3-time elite coach and I have 9 diamonds, and I've been in the top 200 of the company every year. And people assume that I'm one of these people that signs up 10, 12 plus coaches every month. I do not. The thing is that I sign up quality coaches who want to go for this. I sign up coaches that have a great relationship with the product and who have been through, most of the time, have been through my challenge groups and are excited about sharing their story. So I really just focused on teaching my coaches how to do the same exact thing. When I didn't, you guys, there was no Coach Basics. I didn't have training videos of my own. I literally just pulled videos from places that I felt helped me, and I gave them to my coaches. And I said, okay, we're doing a new coach training group this month. Here's what it means to be Success Club. Here's what it means to expand your network. Here's so-and-so talking about this. Here's so-and-so talking about how to be an entrepreneur. Here's this talking about time management. And they weren't always Beachbody coaches. It was really, you find things that help you and you share those with the people that you're trying to have start do things with you. And we did things together as a team. All of my coaches did stuff with me. And when they felt they were strong enough to do it on their own, they started doing it on their own. But for the most part, my first year was really all of us just piling stuff together and saying, okay, this is what we're doing every month. Let's do it. We did tons of free groups to help us build volume. There were no Shakeology sampler packets at the time. So we did tons of Shakeology groups where we bought the Shakeology and shipped it off to people so they could try it. But now we have people that do, you can do Shakeology sample groups that'll help you up volume, which helps you earn elite points. So those were just kind of some of the things that we did. And in November, it was 3.5 weeks before qualification for elite for the end of the year. I lost every last one of my diamonds. I was the only one left. And it was I remember calling my mentor and I was like, I can't do it. I don't know what's going to happen, but everybody's gone. And there's no way I'm going to get back all 4 of my diamonds before this. There's just no chance. He was like, Lauren, you need to believe in yourself. You need to go through their downlines. You need to go through their accounts. You need to help them figure out how to get people active, and you need to help them figure out what's wrong. You need to help them believe in themselves. And so we did, and we did diamond, personal development groups and watched videos together, and we just did it together. We really everybody just worked together. And it was, I kid you not, I wish I could make this stuff up. I lived on the East Coast, so it was I was here at that time. It was 10:59 at night, and we got it back. Awesome. 10:59. So yeah. And that's kind of how we do things now. It's just, that's how we roll every year to try and make it happen.
That's awesome. What is your biggest, now you're a volume queen. So what are your biggest pointers with volume? Can you speak to that? Because that's what a lot of people struggle with.
Yep. So I think the biggest mistake that a lot of people make is that they put a lot of emphasis in volume right off the bat as a new coach. And I get that it's part of the leadership ladder, but what I was taught to do and how I was trained is that diamond is not 8 coaches and it is not 2 emeralds. Diamond is 10 coaches and 4 emeralds. And that is a solid base for diamond. And the way you get there is that you build evenly to like just every other. I swapped until I had 10 coaches. I still to this day only have probably about 12 active coaches on my strong leg, and the rest of my team is on my weak leg. So I built completely even, and it's a guessing game. It's like rolling the dice. When people start to get strategic about, oh, this girl's going to be really good and that girl's really not, and you get somebody who comes on and they're like, to me, when people come on my team and they are on fire and they are like emerald in a day and 10 challenge packs in like a week, that actually makes me really nervous because most of the time it's very rare that those people actually are consistent with that and they stick around. It's almost inevitable that those people tend to fall off after about 3 months. So for me, it's more of just, okay, where do I personally need to put people to be solid? And so I built right, left, right, left, right, left, always outside, never inside. And we just built it even until I was a solid diamond. And then from there, I started loading my right leg. And then I started paying attention to, okay, what does my volume look like on my strong leg? My strong leg happens to be really high. So I got a lot of help, fortunately, from Brandy right off the bat. And then my right side was really, really weak. So that meant that every single coach that I added went onto my weak leg. And that really boosted my volume. There's honestly, if you guys have a strong leg and like a 2-1 ratio, then there's really no need, once you are a solid, stable diamond, to ever put people on your strong leg again until they start to fall off. Everybody should be placed on your weak leg. And you just have to be aware of what your volume is at all times, because you have to be paying attention, and you need to be aware of your rank too. You should be checking people's like active statuses every single week and making sure that you are solid, stable, because you never leave Beachbody dollars on the table, and you don't want to fall off out of diamond and go to ruby or even emerald if you are a diamond and be making $14 per cycle instead of 18. Yes, you do need two diamonds on your strong leg for a 5-star elite. So when I built that way, what I did is I knew when I was building people that it wasn't like, okay, this girl's going to be really good and I have to build my volume on my weak leg, so I'm going to put her on my weak leg. I knew that, okay, she has the potential to be good, so I need somebody over here. She's going over there. And it just so happens that both the elite coaches that are on my team are on my strong leg, but I have plenty of really good coaches and several premier coaches on my team that are on my weak leg. My top volume producing coaches are actually on my weak leg. So just because somebody's not elite doesn't mean that they don't produce volume like crazy. So I have a lot of really great coaches on both sides. And that's why I'm saying it's just, you got to kind of just place people like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I have, let's see, 4 diamonds on my strong leg. And 3 out of those 4 girls are my original 8 from when I signed up to be diamond. The other one is me. So, because I put my second business center on my strong leg. Bad advice. Don't ever do that. If I could go back and change that, I would, and it would go on my week. But I didn't know any better, and I knew I needed a diamond on my strong leg to make me 5-star for elite, and I knew I could do it myself. So I built myself over there to diamond. If I were going to tell you to place somebody over there that you knew you could control, place your husband or your spouse, or a parent or a family member or something. But your second business center always gives you the ability to earn elite points. You can always build it. I usually say put your spouse on your weak leg also. That's how I teach my team to do it, is weak leg, and then put second business centers underneath that on the inside. But anyway, that's a whole nother story for another day, which is what helps me build volume, actually. And it increases. But one of the things that does help build volume is to do things as a team. And I think we have a call about this where we talked about volume and increasing volume. But so one of the things that we really like to do on our team is so I did the ultimate reset. And then by me doing it, it sparked interest for a lot of my coaches that wanted to do it too. We ended up having almost my entire downline doing the ultimate reset at the same time. Everybody bought that at the same time. That ups your volume. So if you're getting your coaches to try and do things with you, so let's say a great thing to do is a team-wide coach only 3-day refresh group. Get everybody to order the 3-day refresh, do it together. That boosts your volume. Your coaches are earning volume. You're earning volume points, which helps you get elite. They're earning commissions because they're selling it, because now they have people that are wanting to do it with them as well. So it just really helps you to increase the volume, which earns you the ATV points once you double over. And your PS coaches, this is how you earn PSPV, is because not only are they getting Shakeology, now they're getting something else, which also helps you earn PSPV points. Because does everybody know how to, this is like, I feel like a beyond that. But when you earn PSPV points, it's based off of your personally sponsored coaches and the volume that they are creating, which comes from anything they order and the people that order underneath of them as well.
That's awesome. So you do free groups that you talked about to get people in, and then to boost volume, you've done 3-day refreshes as a coach, only coaches, ultimate reset, only coaches. You do like Shakeology groups too, right? Like with the sampler packs.
Yep.
And that boosts as well. So those are all great ways to boost the volume, because I know a lot of people, they feel like they can't, they're trying to figure out the volume, and it's really a lot simpler than we make it out to be. It's just being strategic. And you talk.
And I want to just clarify, just because I run coach only groups doesn't mean that those people aren't promoting it on their page to do a group of their own with their customers at the same time, which is great because that also helps to boost. So when we did the ultimate reset, all of my coaches were doing it, but they also had their customers in a group as well. So we had a coach only page where we could all come and like talk about it. And then they had customer groups too. So, okay. But I just wanted to clarify that.
Real quick with placement, because I know this is a higher level call, you guys, but it is for it is for the executive leader. And I know I get asked this all the time. Do you ever put people on your inside legs?
No, never, ever, ever, ever. And the reason being is because, one, I never give away coaches. I will never sign up a coach and give it to another coach. I did that one time where it was like, I didn't sign her up. I just said, hey, so-and-so is a great coach. She's in our groups. It's actually not compliant, regular. Like you're not supposed to do that. But I was a brand new coach. I did not know. But this girl made a choice to sign up with the other coach, and she's still around, which is great. And she's actually thriving and doing much better with the coach that she went with. It turns out they are really good friends. They live close to each other. They can do things together. So it worked out perfect for them. I did that one time, but I never, ever, ever would recommend doing that. Second is I would never recommend placing coaches on inside legs of other coaches. Reason being, you cannot control what that coach does. You cannot control what happens in her life. So if that coach all of a sudden decides, hey, I'm going to quit, I don't want to do this anymore, and you have somebody that's placed on her inside over here, we're pretending this is inside. You have somebody who's placed on her inside over here and she quits, this coach goes up, and you have all these people over here who are getting help, and this poor coach is completely by herself. There's no more help coming to her ever again from anyone. She has to build her volume completely by herself. And that's just, it stinks. Nobody likes to have to do that. Everybody wants to have a little bit of help. Not to say that you can't build volume and gain, Lindsay Matway built volume completely on her own. Lauren Duke is on an inside ghost leg, and she's completely on her own. So it's totally possible if that happens to you or it happens to one of your coaches. But we want to try and avoid that at all times. The only time I have ever placed someone on the inside is my third business center or my spouse. And that is it, because I am in control of those. And so I know that I will be placing volume under them. I know that I will be placing coaches underneath of them. Is there a way to tell if you've been placed on an inside leg of your upline? Yeah, just look at your geographical genealogy. You'll know if you're on an inside leg or not, because you'll be on the insides of, like, if you're looking at it and you're not in one of these lines that goes way out here, then you're on an inside leg. You would have help coming from you, and you would have coaches underneath of you that you don't know who they're from. If you don't have coaches underneath of you that you didn't personally place, or your coaches didn't personally place, then you're stuck on an inside leg. But you can just look up and it'll show you where. I think actually if you click on your name, it'll tell you where your geographical placement is as well. So, but yes, I never, ever, ever, I always, always, always teach my coaches. This is in our coach basics training. Far and wide. Your placement should always be set far and wide. The other thing that you need to be super careful of is when you are doing placement, and this is coach basics, is when you place on a strong leg, you always have to go find the little red person, and you have to click the little red person on the outside leg if you're placing somebody on a strong outside leg, because in your preferred placement, there is no option to set preferred strong outside. There's weak outside, but not strong outside. So if you're not personally clicking that little red person or personally emailing coach relations and saying, please place so-and-so on my strong outside leg of X business center, they're going to place them wherever the first available spot is on your strong leg, which is terrible, but that's just what happens. So it happened to one of my coaches, and I didn't catch it in time. This was before I knew that this was a thing a long time ago, and they got stuck into like an abandoned spot under so-and-so's grandmother's brother's husband or something on the inside of my strong leg. So, and once it's there, there's no, if you don't change it within 72 hours, there is absolutely no way to fix that. They will not change it. So yeah, no.
Yeah, and remember, when you do get your second business center, like Lauren said, or, you have your spouse, do talk to your upline before you place that. Because I know that I placed my second business center in the inside of my leg, in the inside of my husband's weak leg, and that was an amazing thing for us. Mm-hmm. That's the only time that you do it. So I always tell my coaches, make sure you tell me when you get that second business center, so we can figure out where to put that thing, because you want to make sure you put it in the right spot. And it's honestly, you guys, sometimes your situation could be different, and it could go somewhere different. I know that my upline's situation was different, and so hers went somewhere different. And my upline built from a dead leg too, and she's doing quite well. So if you aren't a dead leg, don't feel like you're.
Yeah. And if you are, make sure you're talking to your upline. Like if you're one of my coaches or in my downline, talk to me, because there is a way that you can geographically place people on an outside leg of one of your coaches, so that if they do ever quit, they will roll up to you or to whoever is above them. And especially if you have even legs and you're trying to build one higher than the other, and you're trying to force one to be an outside leg, we can help you with that. But you have to, like, that's something that I would never try to explain on a call like this to be done by yourself. Like, you need to have guidance in learning how to do that, to make sure that we can actually look at your genealogy personally to find out if that's a good idea or not. So
awesome. Okay, you guys, make sure you type in any questions. I know we've had a few, but any more that you have, we love questions, and we've got a few more minutes. All right, the last question that I have for you before I'll open up for more questions for them is, how has your life changed since Beachbody? Like, obviously we've heard a lot, but I know for me it was pretty powerful at Summit when they said, imagine your life if Beachbody would have never came into it.
Yeah. So my guess is that if Beachbody never came into my life, I would still be completely 100% financially dependent on my husband. I probably still would have no credit. There's no way that we would be living debt free. We would still be like, I think we'd still be in a good place because I have confidence that my husband is the kind of person that sets his mind to something. And so my husband has a very good job. He has worked his way up a company to the point where he and his boss were able to leave and create their own job, or their own company. And I believe that alone, his income and our family would be just fine. But there's no way that it would be where it is to this day. We would not be able to go on a lot of the trips that we are able to go on. We would not be as comfortable as we are financially. We live pretty humbly, I believe. Anyway, I think so. And I just, the feeling of like, I think to myself all the time, I take myself back when I get upset that we're having a low volume week, or I'm upset because my paycheck is lower. I have to remember that spot sitting in the car telling my husband, can you imagine what $800 a month would do for my family or our family? And I get like teary-eyed thinking about it, just because I wouldn't have half the friendships and the relationships that I do now. I live in Texas, completely away from my family and my friends and everything that I knew when we moved here. It kept me grounded. It still keeps me grounded. It keeps me connected. It gives me purpose aside from just being a mom. And there's nothing wrong with just being a mom, but sometimes the everyday monotony of parenting and no adult conversation and just feeling like there's got to be something else. And I think sometimes, like, I always wanted a job that I could be at home and make my own hours and still get paid as long as I showed up and did the work when it was convenient for me. And I never thought something like that existed. And it does, you guys. Like, this is it. And I can work I try not to, but if I have to and I can't send invites until 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, then I can do it at 12 and 1 o'clock in the morning and still get paid. I can still go on a vacation and sit my butt on the beach with my cell phone and still get paid. And, work with people and have conversations with people like you guys and, get to just, I don't know. I can't even imagine what our life would look like. I wouldn't be able to fly home and see my family. We wouldn't be able to put our kids in the sports and do the extracurricular activities that we do, or buy organic groceries all the time. Like, it's just the little things that constantly make me so appreciative of this business. And now it's just, my motives are still financially forward because I want to make sure my family is secure. But it's seeing what, like, somebody said this to me the other day. They were like, can you imagine, what if you had said no? Because I was having one of those moments, like, I suck as a coach, I suck as a parent, I can't do this, I don't know how to balance everything, like, I'm not a good leader. We all have those moments. Like, I'm an executive leader and I still feel that way sometimes. And it's just, I was having one of those, and they sat down and they said, okay, I'm going to use a couple of people's names to be specific. They said, if you had not made this decision to become a coach, where would Veronica Carr's life be right now? Veronica Carr is one of the girls who spoke in our group, who she struggled with depression and contemplated suicide at points and things like that. And now she is thriving in life because she found something that gave her purpose, and she found something that forced her to do personal development. And she found something that she has a passion for and a way to share her voice of what she believes in. And, where would Angela Rocco and Megan Sayeni and Brooke King, where would all these girls, Emily Bowie, Melissa Orange, like, where would Steph Cram's life be? Like, would it still be the same, or all these people's lives are better because you made one decision to say yes to coaching. You made one decision to go for it and to just introduce them to something that makes them happy. And whether or not they're making money, they're still coaches because they love a product, they love the lifestyle, and they love what they're doing that makes them feel good every day. And that is really, like, just what hits home for me, that keeps me going every day when I'm not selling a challenge pack and I think I should be, or Success Club's hard, or I just think about how I got those people excited about this business and how I got them started. And then I just start that conversation with somebody new, and that's it. So.
That's awesome. So you do struggle. You're not, it's not rainbows and butterflies every day and you wake up with inbox full of people asking to sign up under you, right?
No, no matter what rank, no matter where you are in the company, no matter how many years you've been elite, no matter how many diamonds you have underneath of you, that Success Club number goes back to 0 every single month. And your ATV goes back to 0 at the beginning of every single year. And you have to start over. And it actually gets harder because for people like myself and Tanya who have high volume producing teams, we have to double that every year before we can actually start earning points. And mine has not doubled yet. So this year has been a little bit more rough. So it's been harder. And you just have to continually work harder. And be consistent and doing those same daily activities, because now you have to meet more people and new people all the time. So yeah, that's the fun part, right?
Yeah, I definitely like the people. I definitely blew through my warm market and they weren't all accepting either, but I love my new market that I have. Create your own community. Okay, Jenny has some questions. How do you help motivate your coaches to hit Success Club?
Okay, so motivating my coaches to hit Success Club, a couple of them are on here. I think it's just making them realize what it can do for them. You know, I think a lot of them think at the beginning, it's the way you approach it, because I've done it wrong. I am first to admit I've done it wrong, where I was like, you got to hit Success Club. And then it was like, okay, when you break it down and you make it seem not as hard for them, and just make them realize that they don't have to be anybody but themselves. And all they have to really be doing is just be talking about what they're doing. And that by them doing that and actually asking the question, because I think a lot of them feel like, oh, well, I'm posting about it and nobody's coming to me. They have to actually ask the question. They have to actually talk to people about it and ask them like, hey, would you be interested in doing this with me? Or they have to ask it more than just once, and to more than just one person, and more than just 10 people. And that, you know, I do offer incentives sometimes. I offer prizes. We do, but I don't do it every single month, because then it becomes like expected, and I want them to work for it. I want them to do it for themselves, not for a prize. I want them to see success and realize that, hey, my shakes are getting paid for every month because I hit Success Club. And hey, oh wait, now I just paid for my gas. And, you know, I think showing them that has helped. And I mean, yeah, prizes are fun. They do like prizes. Some of them can chime in if they want and tell them what motivates them, because I see them on here. But I think, you know, it's mostly just doing it together as a team too, and showing them, you know, we do recognition. I think it's key to figure out what motivates each individual person, because knowing when to message somebody at the right time, knowing when their lives are maybe like a little bit difficult at that time and they aren't motivated by being pressured. Pressuring them is not going to help. Knowing whether or not somebody just really likes recognition and doing like a team banner that has recognition on it for something. I mean, I know that it used to make, I'm not recognition driven specifically, but at the beginning I was, because I was like, oh my gosh, Brandy put my name up on one of her posters, like on her Facebook page. Like that was the coolest thing for me when I started. And I was like, I got to be on there again, because if I'm not, people are going to think I suck. So, you know, like I think that was cool. And it established it made me feel like established as to my people that were watching, like, hey, she's actually doing something good with this business. So I think you just got to get to know what motivates your coaches individually, especially when you don't have like a whole lot of them to figure it out. But being in touch with them too, and making them feel like they're not just a number on your team and that they actually matter. Make it a point to reach out to your coaches at least once a month, like at least, whether they're discount or working or not, just to say, hey girl, how are you doing? How's your life going? You know, and then if they respond, ask them, how are your workouts and your Shakeology going? Are you still doing that? Like what's going on? Because regardless of whether or not they're a working coach or they are a discount coach or they're an inactive coach, at some point they signed up with you because they liked something, right? They liked a product, and it's your duty as their coach to care about them and to still be in touch with them, whether they are earning you points or successful points or money or not. Like, you don't ever have to drag someone, but showing up for them. I love this quote. I heard it, again the other day, is that nobody cares what you know unless they know you care. And it's totally true. So those are my advice for that. And then, what was the hardest part of the executive leader qualifications for you to hit, and how did you make it happen? So we didn't have leadership ladder this whole time. It wasn't until was it last summit that it came out? It was last summit that it came out. And I think I was an organizational leader, and I didn't even know, because I was like, whatever, they're doing some dumb leadership ladder thing. I'm not paying attention to it. And because I didn't know anything about it and I didn't give it the credit that it deserved at all. And it wasn't until I started to see how few executive leaders there were, I was like, oh, wow. And I recognized many of the names that were up there for executive leader. And I was like, oh, that has to be me. I need to be up there, because those girls know what they're doing. And there is no I can do what she's doing. I know I can. And it wasn't necessarily about being an executive leader. I just knew that for me, it's about money. And those girls, the ones that I knew that were up there, they were making a buttload of it. And I was like, okay, I want to be there, because that's what I want. I want my mortgage paid off. I want my kids' colleges to be paid for. I want to be financially free. I want to be able to fly home whenever the heck I want to. If I want to go to the beach or fly home for a baby shower whenever I feel like it, that's what I want to be able to do. And I don't want money to be a reason why I can't. So I know that sounds silly, but when you live completely away from your family and your friends and everyone, it's a nice luxury to have. And that's what I wanted. I needed that for me to be sane. And it wasn't 100%, but I knew, okay, so if they're executive leaders, then I need to do X, Y, and Z. I really dug home after summit. I remember sitting on the plane with, Anita Myron, because she lived here at the time, and she and I were really good friends. And we sat down on the plane, both she and I and Eric, and we dove into it. She had some notes and some stuff from Melanie Mitro that Melanie had used for Summit. And I was like, we need to look at that. So we were looking at it together and kind of getting ideas and seeing how Melanie was using the ladder to kind of build her leaders and, do all this stuff. And we were brainstorming, and it was just kind of okay, so we need to start running more leadership focused groups, and we need to run more volume trainings, and we need to start focusing on it. I mean, you don't really need to worry about the ranks as much as we needed to worry about getting our coaches to hit Success Club and taste success and be solid diamonds that are earning money, not being $100 diamonds. We wanted diamonds that were earning money, and that meant teaching them placement and teaching them volume and teaching them how to really grow and teach people the importance of the product, so that their coaches are teaching the importance of the product and running kick-ass challenge groups. And so that's really what we focused on towards the end of the year, which also in turn, I was struggling to hit elite, in turn helped us push forward to get the points and the volume and everything that we needed up so that we could hit elite. And I jumped from 800 or 900 something in the company, well up into the 100s in the last couple months of the year because of that. So I think really focusing in on those particular things is helpful. Yeah, I think that's it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been great. I really appreciate it. And I think it's awesome that you guys, she hit elite her first year, hasn't missed it since. She's not going to miss it this year. But I think it's important to note that she's doing the same things every single year. It's not changed since day one. And it's not, once you hit a certain point on the ladder or a certain rank, you don't just sit there and watch your inbox fill up. You get better at the skill, because it's just a skill that you learn and you get better at. And so it takes you less time. So Lauren enjoys a lot of freedom of time by working. You just work 3 days a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But she worked her tail off in the beginning and was up late at night with her newborn baby that wasn't sleeping to get herself to this point. And you guys can totally do that too.
Literally doing it, because this is what I did was when people thought I was crazy because I was staying up until 11, 12 o'clock at night listening to team calls. And they're like, aren't you tired?
Yeah, exactly.
I was told I have to be on calls because I'm always going to walk away with nuggets. And I wanted those nuggets. I wanted to hear what people had to say. So you're doing it. So good job.
Awesome. Did you want to add anything else?
I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that as you start to move up the leadership ladder, I've made all these mistakes. I have, trust me, is that there's several things that I could go on all night about. But one is, don't worry about what the person next to you is doing. I love that the little like meme from the Olympics with Michael Phelps and the other dude. I don't even know what his name is, but whatever his name was that was swimming, who was too busy looking at the guy next to him, wondering, am I going to beat him? Am I going to do better than him? And he lost it. Like, because of that, he could have beat him, but he didn't, because he was too busy being a hothead and worrying about his competition. Don't worry about your competition. That's only going to do nothing but make you feel like, I don't know, if you're anything like me, it actually makes me feel like I'm not good enough. It makes me feel depressed, and it makes me feel like I'm doing all the wrong things, which makes me derail and feel like, okay, what is she doing that I'm not? And I start looking around and pulling all these shiny, sparkly things from this person's training and that person's training. And, oh, that's working for her. Let me try that. That post worked. Oh, that ad worked. And I have all these things, but none of them represented me anymore, and none of them were really what was working for me in the beginning. So then it comes down to, literally, you guys, use the tracker, do the tracker every single day. If you want to be an elite coach, you want to move up the rung faster, do more than the 4 or 5 things that it tells you to do 10. If you want to do even more than 10, go for it, but know your sweet spot so you don't get overwhelmed. But you have to do the basics every single day, whether you are a brand new coach, whether you're a business starter, a team builder, a team leader, an organizational leader, or an executive leader. You have to do the business building activities first every single day. Because if you're not doing that and you're focusing on just trying to, keep messaging those same people that said maybe, or constantly focusing on those coaches that are emeralds, that are just like right there at ruby or diamond, and you're like, but I'm counting on them to be diamond. What about that next person that's sitting in your challenge group who's ready to be a coach, who has the potential to be like a 2-star in 3-4 months? You have to constantly keep building and building and adding new people and adding new friends and adding new coaches to your team, new challengers. All of that stuff has to be done first before you worry about, I don't have my website set up, so I have to set a website. Or you don't need a website. Or worrying about your new coach training and you didn't make all those videos yourself. Who cares? What helped you? Right now, you're working on building. So you have to, if you want, set aside 1 day a week where you can be creative. You can have your creative time to build your videos, or 1 day a week, I create a new video every single week. It's just built into my schedule. That's when I do videos, and that's it. I do 1 day a week where I do calls to coaches. That's it. The rest of it is built on making sure that I'm doing the team building activities and all of that. Now, as you go up, it will switch, where right now, if you are a coach, a team, a business starter, a team builder, or even a team leader, 100% of your time should be focused on recruiting and getting people into challenge groups. That's it. That's all. Then as you become maybe team leader, it's 90. Because as a team leader, you do need to be running coach basics groups and stuff like that. But then you take it down a little bit. But right now, I'm not even 50-50. More of my activities during the day are spent on building my network, adding coaches, adding invitations, and then making sure my challengers are having a great experience. And then once all of that is done in the day, then I will go to my new coach training group. Then I will go to my team page. I will worry about all of that other stuff, because that is what's going to build your business, is constantly getting new blood. So that's all, I think.
Awesome. I think that's a great way to end too, you guys. Keep doing the same activities and don't get into the management mode and thinking you need to do all this extra fancy stuff, because you don't. Not at all.
You don't need to know it all, you guys. Like, seriously, there's still times where my coaches message me stuff and I'm like, oh, I never knew that.
I know.
That's good. Like, I remember at the very beginning, you guys, it was literally like, I called Brandy. I was like, what is a challenge group? You want me to run a challenge group? What is that? And, she'd say, oh, I want you to do this. How exactly do I do that again? Because remember, there was no like back office training or anything like that. It was literally just do this and go for it. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Be proactive in finding answers for yourself. You do not need to have all the answers. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what? I don't know the answer to that. Let me find out and I'll get back to you. It's totally okay to say that to people. It's okay to say it to yourself when somebody asks you something. You need an answer, go find it. If you don't know, ask one of us, ask your upline. But don't be afraid to put yourself out there because you feel like you don't know enough, or you feel like you don't have a big enough transformation story, or you don't have, the success that you're looking for. Use somebody else's and share why it inspired you. You don't have to do it. Just go for it. Put yourself out there and talk about what you're doing and how much you love it and what you're inspired by. And you guys will do great.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for coming. And Lauren, thank you so much for sharing so openly. And your story is awesome. And I'm so excited. And we're getting tons of thank yous. And I want to thank you guys all. We're still going with the executive leader this week. We'll still be posting how to get there. And make sure if you have questions, you ask them in the group. The group is for you. And we want to make sure we help you. And you can get anywhere. Lauren went from, if there would have been the ladder back when Lauren started, she would have gone from brand new coach, not even on the ladder, all the way to team leader.
It would have been team leader. I think
organizational
in, when was the qualification? It was like the last day. And I've always been that coach that misses things by one day, always. I missed leadership my first year by one day. Everything was one day over. Thank goodness back then you could bring people, and Brandy brought me to everything. But I think it would have been June. So I signed up in February and I would have been a team leader by June. I think June was when I had my first $1,000 a week paycheck. So yeah.
You guys, you can do anything in a short amount of time. So just because you're brand new or you feel like, crap, I'm not even on that thing, get yourself on there and use it as a measure, and have your coaches use it too.
Yeah. And I'm an open book, so you guys feel free you can message me. My page is public. I'm pretty honest about, I don't usually add people as friends unless I feel like I have a relationship with them. But you can follow me and message me and talk to me about anything, because I try to reserve those spaces on my friends list. We only get 5,000. So I try to reserve those for my current challengers and, other people. But ask me anything. I'm very blunt, very honest, and I will help you as best I can. So
thanks, everybody.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you, Lauren.
Bye, guys.
Bye.